Hector steps out of the gates to face the repercussions of his mistakes. The debt was hefty, and the tension in the air signifies that atonement can only be made by blood. The story of Troy is one of honor, vengeance, and fate. A war waged not just on the battlefield, but in the hearts of the warriors who fought it. One fought for honor, but the other fought for vengeance. But before we witness the fateful duel between Achilles and Hector, we need to understand the events that led to this moment. It began with Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world. She was the wife of Menelaus, the king of Sparta. But when Paris, the young prince of Troy, seduced Helen and took her away to his homeland, it stopped being an act of love and instead became an act of war. Menelaus turned to his brother Agamemnon, the powerful king of Mycenae, who saw this as the perfect excuse to launch an invasion. Agamemnon didn't care about Helen. He wanted Troy itself, the great walled city that had never fallen. To ensure victory, the Greeks needed their greatest warrior, Achilles. He was no ordinary soldier. He was a living legend, a demigod blessed with unmatched skill and invulnerability, save for a single weakness. Achilles fought not for Greece, not for kings, but for glory, to carve his name into history. Agamemnon and Achilles despised each other, but Achilles agreed to join the war, knowing it would be the stage for his immortality through legend. On the other side stood Hector, the noble prince of Troy and its greatest warrior. Unlike Achilles, Hector didn't seek glory. He fought for duty, for his people, for his family. He was the son of King Priam, the heir to Troy's throne, and a man who understood that this war was a disaster waiting to happen. He begged his brother Paris to return Helen and avoid bloodshed, but Paris refused, believing love was worth the war. And so Hector did what he had always done. He prepared to protect his home. The Greeks arrived on the shores of Troy, and war erupted. Achilles, in his first act of defiance against Agamemnon, ignored orders and led his warriors, the Myrmidons, straight to battle. His arrival was devastating. He cut through Troy's forces with terrifying ease, leaving a warning that not even Troy's walls could save them. It was a sign of what was to come. Agamemnon insulted Achilles, and thus he decided to sit the war out. But Patroclus, Achilles' closest companion, his brother in arms, couldn't. Patroclus donned Achilles' armor and led the battle. But then came Hector. Believing he was facing Achilles, Hector struck Patroclus down, dealing a fatal blow. Only when he removed his enemy's helmet did he realize the truth. When Achilles learned of Patroclus' death, something inside him snapped. And that's how he ended right here. Achilles and Hector fight. The Achilles versus Hector duel is a masterclass in visual storytelling, and its effectiveness begins with its framing and camera work. Every shot in this sequence is carefully composed to reinforce the emotional stakes and character dynamics. From the moment Hector steps out of the gates, we see a dolly push in towards his face. This slow movement builds tension, letting us experience Hector's dread firsthand. As he walks down to meet Achilles, the camera cuts to a wide, over-the-shoulder shot from Hector's perspective. Achilles, standing alone in an empty battlefield, appears enormous, not because of size, but because of presence. The emptiness around him makes him the singular focus of Hector's vision. One of the most striking moments of this scene is when both warriors remove their helmets. At first, it seems like a simple gesture, a reference to Hector's tragic mistake in mistaking Patroclus for Achilles. But beneath that, the act carries a deeper significance. This fight isn't just about vengeance, it's about stripping away everything else. No armor, no deception, just two men exposed, standing face to face. Visually, it transforms the duel into something primal and personal. In this moment, it's no longer about Troy or Greece. It's about legacy, honor, and an inescapable fate. From the first step, Achilles controls everything. He moves first, he sets the rhythm. The camera mirrors this dominance. His shots are steady, controlled, mirroring his precision. Hector, by contrast, is framed with just a touch more motion, subtly reinforcing that he's reacting, not dictating. Throughout the fight, camera height and angles play a crucial role. Most of the fight is at eye level, reinforcing that these are two elite warriors on equal footing. The camera work is explicit, and why this sends so much tension to us is because every swing is a new camera perspective, and every single dodge is shown. Whenever the spear was sent ahead for a strike, the camera followed suit. Every dodge was made at such a perfect timing that it was sending chills down my spine. But every time Achilles performs his signature leaping strike, the camera drops to a low angle, making him appear even more godlike. Another sweet detail in this movie is the display of honor. When Achilles broke Hector's spear, Hector didn't pull out his sword. I didn't even know he had a sword. But after dodging a few strikes, he focused his attention on Achilles' spear and immediately he broke it. He pulled out his sword and Achilles also pulled out his sword. That was a cinematic show of honor, and it goes without saying that if one person had broken the rules of engagement, it would have been noted as a dishonorable match. Perhaps the most chilling moment in the entire fight is the brief silence after Hector lands a hit on Achilles. There's a microsecond where even Achilles pauses, as if realizing he's been wounded. The sound fades for just a moment before resuming, making that single hit feel monumental. One of the most underrated aspects of this scene is its sound design. The fight doesn't rely on an overpowering musical score. Instead, it embraces silence, ambient noise, and the raw sounds of combat to maximize tension. Since the duel began, every clash of metal is sharp, crisp, and purposeful. There's no excessive clanging or overdramatic sound effects, just the clean, brutal efficiency of two warriors at the peak of their skill. Achilles' movements sound effortless. His sword cuts the air with lethal precision. Hector's movements, on the other hand, are slightly heavier, reinforcing the idea that he's a mortal man fighting against something unstoppable. Every swing has a sound design of its own. Every clash is original to its own cause. Every strip and every step, every leap and every breath was made to pass the tension in the fights. And what complements this fight scene so well is the lighting. Unlike the battles earlier in the film where dust, fire, and chaos dominate the screen, this duel is bathed in soft, natural daylight. There's an intentional purity in how the sun illuminates the battlefield, making the fight feel like a timeless, almost sacred ritual, rather than just another clash in war. The contrast in lighting also enhances the difference between Hector and Achilles. Hector, dressed in muted bronze armor, reflects the sunlight in a way that makes him look vulnerable, exposed. Achilles, clad in dark, almost blackened bronze, absorbs the light, making him look like a shadow of death approaching. The absence of dramatic shadows or flickering torches also removes any distractions from the moment. Unlike the dimly lit interiors of Troy or the smoke-filled battlefields, there's nowhere to hide here. The brightness exposes both warriors, emphasizing the raw reality of what's happening. This duel is a masterclass in how to shoot combat. Lighting in the duel between Achilles and Hector is deceptively simple, but it plays a massive role in reinforcing the scene's themes of morality versus myth. As Hector stumbles over a loose stone, the battlefield doesn't just witness a misstep, it experiences a shift in tone. In a war defined by brute force and unrelenting aggression, this fleeting moment of vulnerability sends a wave of unease through everyone watching. A sense of remorse, or better still, a wave of remorse was sent through the spine of everyone watching. The stumble isn't just physical, it's symbolic. The great defender of Troy, the unyielding warrior, is suddenly humanized. The cinematography amplifies the tension. A subtle pause in movement, a slight hitch in the breath of the crowd, a shift in Achilles' stance. The moment is stretched, forcing the audience to feel its weight. This isn't just a fall, it's a crack in invincibility. A reminder that even the mightiest can falter. And in a battle where every second matters, even a brief misstep can seal one's fate. A major reason this fight works so well is that it's not just about skill, it's about ideology. Achilles and Hector don't just fight differently, they fight for different reasons. Achilles fights with absolute precision. Every motion is calculated, fluid, and devoid of emotion. His fighting style is based on efficiency, using minimal effort to maximize results. He doesn't overextend, doesn't waste energy. His movements almost feel unnatural in their perfection, reinforcing his legendary status. Hector, on the other hand, fights with urgency. His swings are powerful but defensive. His footwork is rooted in survival, not dominance. You can see the tension in his body. He's reacting, not controlling. Right before the killing blow, the camera does something genius. It pulls back into an extreme wide shot. Up until now, we've been in tight, feeling every moment. But now, the duel that felt so intimate suddenly expands, giving us a breath. This is the calm before the storm. And then, Achilles strikes. The silence was daunting. The cries were louder than the beating of drums in a festival. Was the battle won, or was the war lost? Debt has been paid, but to what detriment? This isn't just a fight scene, it's storytelling in its purest form. Every movement, every framing choice, every pause adds to the weight of the moment. It's not just about combat, it's about what the combat represents. Hector dies with dignity, knowing he fought for something greater than himself. Achilles wins, but there's no triumph, no celebration. Just a man who has satisfied his vengeance, but is still trapped in his endless pursuit of an immortal legacy.